So digitalisation, connectivity and IoT for multiple dwelling units, or MDU as they call it. And we're going to take this on today. The MDU is prevalent in councils, local authorities, as well as universities and campuses. It could also be in retirement or care homes, domestic housing or similar. And today we're going to take a look at some of the solutions and some of the ways you might tackle them. And to get under the bonnet a little bit today, first of all, we will consider why digitalize, add connectivity and deploy IoT devices? What can I do? And what will I get? And how are we going to do it? And with a huge and varied estate, they'll all have some different needs, but all will have areas that could be digitalized and then unified. They might be modern, like this one, easier to work on infrastructure. This one, for instance, has an underground car park to consider. Or they could be old or heritage developments that add different challenges. Loft-style properties, all open plan, for instance, could be harder to hide cables and services, for instance. Then, as I said earlier, they could be retirement, sheltered housing, or care facilities that need to add services specific to the challenges of their users. And then, of course, there's other challenges for businesses like ESG, the need for digitalization, maybe to remove manual tasks. And of course, we all understand the higher costs that everyone is trying to tackle. Then, of course, we add in all of the stakeholders, and that is more complexity. So this one, a developer might only build a development. He could have less interest in the ongoing operation, or they may build it and operate it, in which case they're more invested in costs and the ease of operation. A local authority, council, or housing association will have different operational needs and challenges of the users of tenants. Issues with damp or mold, for instance, might be a bigger challenge here, for instance, than in some of the other areas. Then you've got FMs or maintenance teams. They need a way to understand the status of a facility, what is occurring and when and how to respond. Subcontractors, they, during and after, they will need information access so that they can maybe undertake specialist tasks. Care workers or staff of a facility too will need to be in the loop. And then, of course, there's the users, their families, visitors, etc. So with that in mind, in needs, the utmost flexibility and power are needed. And then my favorite visual of why digitalization and connectivity is a must. To remove all of the pointless and expensive silos between services. So moving on from the why, what do we need and what might it look like? So digitalization and connectivity are the power to solve problems, knit together solutions easier, and meet future needs. Just think of how Wi-Fi has evolved in your home and the connectivity it brings, and think much bigger for multiple dwelling units. And in our time today, we'll look at a few examples: safety, compliance, building management, safeguarding, and a few examples of the almost limited use cases for these areas are EV charging. So from retirement living to councils to developers, an important service to deliver, and one that has been offering less flexibility for users than is ideal. So at AssetBook, we love a challenge, so we've created a perfect solution for everyone, a more unified and more expansive solution than is available from others, and all within the platform. You can operate the system as a landlord, freeholder, or management company, and you can monetize the system whilst delivering value. We have a full end-to-end payment solution, so you're never leaving the security and safety of the platform. We use fobs per user, flat or account. We can allocate codes for charging sessions or offer free vends on a Sunday, for instance. The full control is yours. We have multiple tariffs. You could have one for residents, another for guests, and another one for any other reason. We do load balancing dynamically or logically for any number of charges. We can visualize them for the users. So chargers that are not in use or out of use, they all show, and we can even push the information to Google if you like. We can automate the servicing of out of use chargers with automation messages sent to the service partners. And of course, you can choose from a huge range of hardware across all types and sizes of charger. We have every eventuality covered as standard. And the communication options, where the chargers are located, can be varied. Those just on an external wall of the building could well be within Wi-Fi range, but those right across the car park may be better for communication via cellular or similar. So whatever you need, we have it covered. And we can add or unify, say, access control in charging. So we could take vision cameras, read registration plates, allow entry and contactless charging control automatically. That's where digitalization really starts to make sense. And of course, multi-stakeholder reporting means residents or users can see their use or costs on their own dashboards. Operators themselves can get a helicopter view of the service and the costs and the revenue, etc. And you can even use AssetBook to collect and manage tenant payments. So this is what EV charging would look like when digitalization and connectivity are at the forefront. Let's look at another solution. Legionella. It represents a serious risk, and it's a task or solution that has traditionally been done manually, especially in terms of records. How would a digitalization of this look, though? Well, our Legionella monitors are a full solution to analyze, report, automate, and then really to break that down, we'll go through the process. The device retrofits easily. No plumbing or electrical work is needed. Monitoring is occurring every 10 seconds at the device. The processing of the data is initially done on the edge. Compliance is being established endlessly and pushed back up to the AssetBook system, even if there is an outage. Reporting and analytics is comprehensive, but more importantly, you only have the headlines to worry about or review, and all of the supporting data is just behind it if needed. But we go further. Automations. Automations means a flush or a purge can be done without human intervention of dead legs or areas where use is sporadic. We can use smart valves and they can do the fix. The original Legionella monitoring device then follows this event and records the results. If the fix is successful, brilliant. If the fix is unsuccessful, we can send alerts, push messages, emails, and create dashboard alerts to users. This is what Legionella monitoring looks like, digitalized. So other easy environmental solutions also are indoor air quality, an important metric for some MDUs and operators. Water leak detection, an important early warning, and it can even be coupled to a smart stop valve. Vape sensors, a growing problem across this sector. Pressure, humidity, and other environmental parameters can be monitored. And we can even bring in other virtual assets, like, say, the BBC Weather app or similar, so we can use this data alongside our other metrics. So how about looking at another solution? Let's look at a more digitalized way to consider energy monitoring. Smart wireless energy monitors can be placed within buildings or estates, and they send real-time energy data. The results can be analyzed and used to gain better insights on your total energy use. And we know that you can monitor an estate with a meter of some sort, smart or not, or with IoT devices. You may or may not know that you can measure a whole distribution board from within it. Or you can measure outgoing circuits with CT operated IoT devices to get a little more granular reporting from downstream. So this is what you'd end up with, the ability to measure energy points from these points and downstream. You could also measure to get circuit level measurements for a single flat. For the flats, you could get lighting, small power, heating, the combi boiler. For the communal areas, which may be billed to the management company, you could get that information, the emergency lighting, the small power or the cleaners sockets, the fire alarm even. And there could be much more, say EV charging, for instance, which we just talked about. And these could really help us to understand where we spend our money and how. But often solutions need an even more intelligent and granular approach if you want real transparency and useful data. If you want or need to use tech to really drill down past circuit level and into device level, you could use wireless lighting such as Kasambi, which can report on energy use, but it also adds other wonderful insights such as operational time, daylight harvesting, dimming levels, occupation levels, etc. So now you're measuring at the final destination of the power, and there are so many advantages. We could also pimp small power in the same way to record energy use, to profile the products that are plugged in and analyze and report on them, to lock out inappropriate or high usage products. We could turn off unstable devices. So now we're into predictive maintenance and safety. We can change behavior, showing the users when green energy is available. So we can show that it's renewable energy, or we can show them where the energy misuse is so that we can try to change behavior that way. And did you know paybacks for this approach have been as low as 2 or 3 months? So let's take another solution. And as we touched on it with energy monitoring, let's circle back and have another look at lighting in a little more detail. Lighting, one of the earliest forms of productized IoT or connected devices, and yet is still often being delivered as a dumb service. It seems a huge waste of affordable technology. And in this example, we'll look at both lighting and emergency lighting. So whatever kind of MDU we have, connected lighting opens up ways to capture data, save money, and of course, digitalize our buildings. We can go wireless to save on deployment time and create smarter lighting. This applies to both lighting and emergency lighting. The savings far outweigh the costs generally. We can unify devices to get a bigger, more colourful picture. With more unification and visibility, we can drive down costs and continually improve the system. We can do other things like easily incorporate effect lighting or building facade lighting or anything like that. And with unification also comes the ability to automate and control more things without borders or silos. In terms of the lighting itself, the emergency lighting can be totally automated, testing and monitoring itself for functionality, time stamping for regular compliance, and even informing when battery changes are needed in advance. This is compliance and safety personified. And then all the street lighting can be rolled into the system and controlled and monitored. In fact, we can have every type of lighting in one pane of glass view, no matter what type or where it is in our estate. We can use data to predict failures, to make scheduled or unscheduled maintenance, and continue to baseline the performance. And it can be visualized and controlled by stakeholders from a single device to an apartment, to a whole smart building, or even a whole estate or portfolio, and all in one pane of glass view. So we've looked at a few solutions now, and in reality, we could spend all day talking through more, but we definitely won't. Let's take a look and move on to the how. Let's look at digitalisation and connectivity. AssetBook believes in an open Internet of Things where deployment and management is simplified. Stakeholders retain full control of their data, and the IoT is put into the hands of the users. And as a platform, AssetBook offers end-to-end solutions providing networking, where we connect to the physical layer and we manage the communications, data processing, where the data is normalized so we can work on it, and the user interface, where we interact with the data and create so-called smart functions and processes. It's a one-stop shop with all the tools you need to own and manage your IT journey. AssetBook believes unification is the key to discovering true value of the Internet of Things for everyone, allowing anyone to adopt as much or as little as they want in any combination for any task with minimal training. We're really removing that fragmentation that's holding back the mass adoption. So there's no need to build a new solution from scratch every time you want to deploy something new. And the more deployments you do, the more value you will get. And there's no need to commit to full digitalization out of the blocks either. You can go at your own pace with the knowledge that all your deployments are already future-proofed. So let's take another look at an example. This is an example pictorial with some use cases of an MDU, and now we can start to look at how we might do things. In this instance, we probably already have Wi-Fi inherently in place, so we could definitely make use of those access points or routers to undertake energy monitoring, for instance, people counting, or vision systems such as CCTV. For lighting, we could use LoRa for the street lighting, Bluetooth for the standard indoor lighting, and maybe Bluetooth or Zigbee for the emergency lighting, for instance. As street lighting is a wider area solution, it's not always ideal for a mesh type topology, whereas lighting is usually indoors, it's usually so pervasive, it's perfect for a mesh. For EV charging, we could use 5G or similar cellular services, so we get simple, robust comms infrastructure. For the EV charging, you could simply just provide the power to the far end of the car park, and the networking will do all of the rest. For asset tracking, for ladders, maybe items of equipment so that the FMs can find them, and for parking space control, we could use LoRaWAN as a wider area network to track everything. So you can begin to see that there will very likely be a need for multiple protocols to use the best in class or to make best in class use cases. Some might mesh, some might need wider area, some might need more data or bandwidth, some might actually just send a small packet of data only twice per day. Strategy around IoT is key, as is the flexibility. But the best solutions incorporate the best technology and the best methodology. We at AssetBook incorporate all of them, regardless of the protocol or networking. And they can communicate with each other, not just in useless silos. They can trigger or automate each other. You can see them all in one pane of glass view. So you can see digitalization and unification of everything brings better value, more insights, and endless solutions. And to finish, we're going to give you one quick do and one don't in terms of how you go about building your digital strategy. To do, build a unified but totally agnostic system, as it will give you freedom and power. In this instance, we have a great pictorial to show just a few options you might have in a unified system. And don't build this. A system of silos, a BMS that does or doesn't do parts of the integration, a set of separate solutions, a dashboard for the beginnings of what might be an ESG. None of them collaborate or work together. There's subscriptions and proprietary hurdles in terms of hardware and software. AssetBook is how you do all of what you saw today and much more in a single multi-protocol agnostic system. So build value today and future-proof your business for tomorrow.